Are you looking to upgrade your setup from something like this to this? Then you should check out this video to see what affordable products I used that you can use in your own setup. So like many other people over the last year or so, I wanted to keep myself busy during the COVID-19 lockdown and work on some kind of project. So I decided to give my bedroom a closer look and make it more of an enjoyable space to be in. I've been a college student for the last several years, so I was always more of a function over form kind of guy and didn't really want to buy anything. But I did buy a few things that I'm going to go over in this video that really changed the look and feel of the room that I'm happy with. And I wanted to share that with whoever is watching and may be interested in making similar types of changes that you see. I also go over my desk slash gaming setup more at the end of the video for those of you who are interested. I would be remiss if I didn't start with my desk, because as any gamer such as myself will tell you, your quote-unquote battle station can easily make or break the kind of gaming experience that you have. The same holds true with productivity though, and using the space to get work done. So I wanted something minimalistic while maintaining functionality, something that looks clean and is sizable enough to manage a dual monitor setup as well as have space for paperwork on the desktop and things like that. I wouldn't say I went all out, but I did put in some effort to go with the minimalistic look and do some cable management, but I'll get into that later. So believe it or not, this isn't actually the worst that my desk setup has ever looked. This is my old desk, and before this picture was taken, I used to have my desk next to one of those plastic fold-out tables that you could get from Walmart because I so desperately wanted an L-shaped setup just for more space and that kind of thing. But everything was so disorganized. It was all out in the open because there was no drawers or storage space, and it really just didn't feel like a desk or a gaming station that I was proud of, and I always felt very anxious sitting there because there was so many things setting out. And then I made the very necessary upgrade to my new desk. The two drawer units on the sides, the desk surface, and the supporting leg are all from IKEA. Keep in mind, depending on where you live, the availability on some of these items can be limited with how many people had to switch to remote work during the pandemic and those who are like me, who use this time to build a setup of their own. But you can set it up on the website so you get notified via email when they get certain items in stock, which is pretty nice. The Alex drawer units were the hardest to get. They cost $79 per unit and they're very easy to assemble. I think the reason these are so sought after is their clean look and the height, which is perfect for a desk setup in terms of leg clearance. There's not much else out there with the dimensions of these drawers, which really do make for great supporting legs of a desk. I also really love the hole cutouts on each drawer, which is perfect for me when it comes to plugging in my wireless adapter for my headset without having to take the adapter completely out of the drawer and set it on my desk. Honestly, I've been in love with these drawers ever since I found them, and I would absolutely recommend them if you can get your hands on some and are looking to build a desk of your own. Speaking of, the desk surface that I'm using is the 78-inch black-brown Lag Captain tabletop for $47.99. I wanted something long enough to comfortably fit two monitors on top of and also have some room for my computer tower and the other stuff you see here while still having some breathing room. I'd like it if the tabletop was a little deeper, but that's mainly to do with my monitor legs that take up so much room, but I could always use a mount for that if I wanted to. If you do your homework though, you'll see some people online that warn you about these IKEA tabletops, as they aren't solid pieces of wood and they have a honeycomb interior, so don't count on this to hold up a ton of weight. However, I've had the desk for months now with a computer and a dual monitor setup sitting on it, and I have yet to see any signs of bowing or instability. I would recommend buying a support leg for it though, and the one that I'm using is the Olav adjustable leg for $15. I wasn't thrilled about having a support leg right in the middle of the legroom on my desk, but quite frankly I've gotten used to it and it's well worth the peace of mind of knowing that my hardware isn't at risk of just collapsing to the ground at any moment. I got this tabletop because it matched the look and dimensions of the Alex drawers very well, and if you're looking for a tabletop that's durable, then I don't know if I would recommend the Lag Captain top, even though I've had no issues with it personally, mainly because I don't know how it would be if I weren't using that supporting leg underneath. Other than that, I've loved how the desk looks and fits into the room, and it's really made such a big difference. I'll come back to my desk and gaming setup later, but first I want to talk about lighting because that has also made such a big difference in how it feels to be in this space. Starting with these lamps from Kazoo. I found these through a YouTuber named TechSource who has a series about cool tech under $50 and $25, so you should check him out if that sounds like it would interest you. These lamps are great though, they're only $34.99 each, and they have two power outlets on the back and three USB charging ports on the front and the power button on the base. All of that which has just been so practical and convenient. I don't think anyone wants to have a million different things, plugged into the wall and have a power strip sitting on the floor, so it has been nice having this all-in-one versatility in a lamp that was going to be on my nightstand anyway. I was a little surprised to see how small they were though, so I feel like that's worth noting, but they're easily one of my favorite purchases that I've made and how it's improved the convenience of managing my electronics on my nightstands and charging some of my devices. I have the lamps paired with these Govee Smart LED bulbs for their RGB capabilities, and you can buy a 2-pack of them for $23.99. Don't get me wrong, I know this kind of thing may not interest everyone, and that's totally fine, but I can't speak highly enough of what having the ability to customize color in my room has done for the feel and vibe of the space. I have fun on a nearly daily basis adjusting the colors to match how I'm feeling or to create a conducive environment for whatever it is that I'm doing. Gaming, editing, hanging out, whatever. And you can do it all from an app on your phone through Bluetooth, which is very convenient. The possibilities are endless once you start buying things like this, where the power of customization is in your hands, and I promise you it changes how it feels to be in the room. But let's just say you want to sit in bed and read a book without feeling like you're inside of a laser tag arena. No problem. You could still set these lights to white when you want the lighting to be normal, and they're strong enough to light up the room without putting too much strain on your eyes. Continuing with lighting, I use the Govee strip lights for lighting behind and under my bed, which was their 32-foot roll for $18.69, as well as a 16-foot roll behind my desk for $15.29. Again, you can control the color through the Govee app on your phone, the same app I use to control my lamps that I just showed, so I have control of all those devices in one place. These strip lights specifically also have a setting where they can change color with the rhythm of music playing, but to be honest, I haven't really played with that all that much to comment on it, but I get the feeling if I use that feature while playing my kind of music, well, it would be quite the spectacle. But in all seriousness, I love how much better my bed and desk look with this additional lighting and how I'm able to transform the entire look of my room with something as simple as color. Here are some examples. I mean, the possibilities really are endless, and you could see the difference it makes compared to without the lighting. One thing I want to note really quick about the 32-foot roll is that it actually comes as two 16-foot rolls that plug into a single adapter, which then plugs into an outlet, so keep that in mind. I initially thought that it would be one continuous 32-foot roll, but thankfully I managed to use one 16-foot roll for under the bed, the other for behind the headboard, and then had them sort of merge together near a corner of the bed by the wall so that I could plug it in relatively out of sight. In some of these pictures, you may have noticed the stars on the ceiling, which is coming from this, the Bliss Lights Skylight for $49.99. Now for me, this was more or less an impulse buy. I thought it would add a cool feeling to the room and I just said what the hell. But my girlfriend and I have enjoyed it and it does add a level of relaxation to the room when I use it. However, it looks like they came out with a newer projector, the Skylight 2.0 for $59.99, $10 more than the one I'm showing, but the effects look better and they can be controlled through your phone seemingly, so you may want to look into that if that interests you. There's also similar products to this out there if you're not quite sold on the Skylight specifically. This I'm including because it has some RGB lighting underneath, but this is the Intense Genesis Gaming TV stand for $282.26. You can't control the lighting with your phone, like the lights I just showed you, but the TV stand comes with your basic RGB controller and there's a couple of different color modes you can use if that interests you. I went with this TV stand because a lot of the stands that I saw online were so low to the ground, and if I wanted to watch TV from in bed, I wouldn't have been able to see half of the screen, so I looked for something a little taller. The design of this is what caught my eye the most, and it provides more than enough room for my 55-inch TV and soundbar, as well as my Xbox and headset on the glass shelves below. The only thing I could say is it gets very dusty very easily, which is extra noticeable on the glass shelving, but I like the additional lighting that it's brought to my setup and it fits in nicely with the color scheme. With this TV stand though, I would definitely recommend setting it up with two people. I managed to put it together by myself, but it was very awkward to do so and it took me hours. You may have also noticed some of the posters I have on my walls, all of which are my own personal photography, but I've ordered the posters using posterprintshop.com. They offer custom sizes for landscape and portrait prints, and I've been happy with the quality of my orders. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but I just wanted to mention them quick because the addition of the posters and filling up some of that empty wall space has not only added color, but has completely changed the feeling of the room. My personal favorite is this massive 4-foot one I have hanging above the bed of Titanic Falls in New York. Okay, everything from this point on will have to do with my desk setup again, starting with this large black mouse pad I found on Amazon for $9.98. I went with this because I wanted something simple and something on the large side, given that the desk is so long. It fits my keyboard and mouse with plenty of additional room and it has a great feel to it. I would recommend it if you're looking for something similar. I have a separate video on my channel that sort of goes over my PC and keyboard, so I won't get into that in this video too much, but it's a custom built computer from CyberPower and a CyberPower keyboard. But this, I use a SteelSeries Rival 3 wireless mouse, and I really can't say enough about the thing. It has one of the best cost to battery life ratios that I've ever seen. It's $44.44 for 400 plus hours of battery life. I mean, you really can't beat that. I've always preferred simple looking mice, and I wanted something wireless to keep my setup looking a little cleaner, so this really was a no-brainer purchase for me. For 40 bucks, this is a steal, in my opinion. There's really no bells or whistles with it, but there's software you can download to customize the color and the effect of the scrolling wheel. The two monitors I'm using are the Aorus 27-inch 240Hz 1440p monitor as my main display, and a Gigabyte 27-inch 144Hz 1080p monitor as my second, which are $699.99 and $279.11 respectively. Not much to really comment on with them other than they've worked great for me and I've had no significant issues such as dead pixels or things of that nature, and I've generally been very pleased with them. But I am going to leave the professional reviews to the experts for that kind of thing. Mounted on top of the monitor is the Logitech C922 webcam for $99.99, which I've been using for streaming at twitch.tv/firm_base if you want to drop a follow. No, really, it would mean a lot, but I've been really happy with the 1080 picture quality, and it also has a built-in green screen effect that you can use, but your results may vary. I can't say I would buy this just for that effect based on what I've seen and read about it, but it's still a great starter webcam for streaming in my opinion. The headset I'm currently using is the Arctis 7X wireless headset for $149 that I bought, so it would be compatible with both my Xbox One and my PC via USB. I've seriously been so happy with the convenience of a wireless headset that I don't know if I'll ever go back to wired, and it's made my setup so much cleaner without all the wires that my Astro A40s had. The battery life on these has been great. I can usually get about 2 days worth before needing to charge it back up, and the sound quality for gaming has also been pretty good. Obviously, wireless headsets aren't going to be as good as wired for sound fidelity if hardcore competitive gaming is really your primary focus, but for me the convenience is beyond worth it and I'm happy with this purchase. I would recommend them to anyone looking to make the switch to wireless considering their price as well as their performance and comfort. I've also had no issues with connectivity, and I'd say I get about 40 feet of range, which is nice at times, like when I'm streaming and I need to walk into the other room. I use this anti-slip headset stand for $9.99. There's flashier stands out there, but I went with this one because I just wanted something black, simple, and cheap, and hey, it gets the job done. Now this right here is probably my favorite and most convenient part about my setup. It seems pretty standard, but the Anker 4-port USB hub for $14.99 has been a complete game changer for me. I never had something like this before in previous gaming setups, if you can even call them that, and all of my USB needs are met by this thing. Not needing to plug any USB cables into the front of my PC like I've had to do in the past keeps such a clean look, which I love. I have my mouse dongle, my Xbox controller adapter, and headset adapter plugged in, which I need for streaming, and having it all within a foot away has been incredibly useful and keeps the setup feeling a lot less cluttered. I mounted it under the desk to have it close by. However, it's worth noting that I needed to buy a USB extension cable for it to reach the back of the PC to plug in because the cable was too short. It's also worth noting that charging isn't supported and there are some limitations to it, but for things like adapters and wireless dongles, it's perfect. You can see I have the hub cable anchored up using these adhesive clips you can buy for $12.70 to route groups of cables underneath your desk. This brings me to cable management, which isn't something I would say I went overly crazy with. I didn't really have that many cables to manage to begin with, but it is something I paid attention to when putting together my setup to achieve that minimalistic look in a way that I was happy with. I wasn't about to drill holes in my desk, so my setup is not perfect, but I'll share some cheap and easy things to use that I found that turned my setup from something that initially looked sloppy and unorganized to something that I'm more proud of now. First up is this pair of cable trays for $24.95 that I mounted under the desk to hold up my power strips and to route cables through. If you want that clean under-desk look, then a product like this is a must. I can't tell you how nice it is to stretch out my legs and not bump my foot into a power strip or a million cables. It's better for vacuuming, it's better to look at, I mean seriously. This is the kind of thing that makes you want to sit at your desk. It looks and feels great, it's totally worth it. These cable trays in particular are nice because they're sizable and they provide good airflow for the power strips to keep them cool. However, I noticed that I had to use all 9 screws for each cable tray in order to feel like the tray was securely anchored to the desk. Initially, I tried with less screws just so I didn't have to make as many holes in the desk, but the tray was wobbly and I didn't feel comfortable resting a power strip on it. But once I used all the screws, the trays have been perfectly fine and they've held everything up with no issues. Seriously guys, you need to do this. The surge protector I'm using for $15.97 has 10 power outlets, 4 USB ports, and 6 feet of cable. This has been great for a setup like this because I've been able to utilize the USB and the power outlets, and the spaced out outlets are good for those oddly shaped plugs that take up too much room. The excess cable was a bit of a pain, but I just have it tied up to my cable rack using these Velcro strips for $7.99. I've used these to bunch up cables in my setup to try and make them look a bit cleaner. I've noticed these work best when you have a bunch of cables in a thicker bundle, but they do next to nothing for thinner bundles like this. Either way, it makes cable management more manageable, for lack of a better word, and I prefer the clean look of them bundled up like this, as if it's one big cable rather than a bunch of individual cables that are all over the place. Lastly, I've used this pack of Scott indoor adhesive squares for $2.97 to mount my USB hub under my desk as well as my posters throughout the room. And if it's any attestation of their strength, I'm using them to hold up this 4 foot by 3 foot poster, which is beefier than it looks, and they've showed no signs of coming loose since I hung it up. They're cheap and can be used in a number of ways for a desk setup like this, so they're worth checking out. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed and maybe saw something in the video that caught your interest. I'll have links to everything in the video description below if you want to check them out more. If you have any questions on some of the items that I went over in the video, please feel free to ask down in the comments and I will get back to you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.